don't have to wait.
Yeah.
Alright. Alright, hello, my name is Dominic Brennan, and before I begin my senior project, I'd like to introduce my mom, Kathy Brennan, my two evaluators, Mrs. Vogel, who works at the resource room, and Mr. Brown, who works as an agriculture teacher. And my mentor, Patty Clerf, and who is self-employed, architect. So imagine having the power to create your dream house just at the tips of your fingers. Well, my project, Architecture 101, allowed me to do that exact thing. And my inspiration behind my project was that growing up, I always played with Lincoln Logs, Legos, and I always enjoyed building houses and things out of it, and cars and such. But throughout high school, I really enjoyed playing a game called Minecraft. It's this open world game that allowed you to pour your creativity into it and create whatever you'd like to. And it was just the most fun thing I've ever done. And over the years, I have this really good friend, Tyler Sullivan, who him and his dad have been renovating his house, creating different walls, and made it from like a 2-bedroom house into about a 3 or 4. They haven't finished it just yet, but that was really inspired me to go forth and do this as my senior project, and probably after my high school career. Planning my project, I had to create a plan of the who, what, when, where, and why. And so it gave me a general idea of what I would rather, what I could do. Instead of just an idea, it put it down as actually what I wanted to do for my project. And then I had to have my mentor requirement sheet, which is I had to find a mentor, which I struggled to find a mentor at first. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, I just didn't know any architects. So I was speaking with Ms. Usini, and thankfully she knew a great architect, Patty Clerf, who is local here, so I was able to work with her. And we sat down a week after we talked, and we came up with a deadline sheet that consisted of downloading programs such as DataCAD, AutoCAD, SketchUp, and programs that just architects use on a daily basis. And then we also came up with that we wanted to do a plan of our own and create kind of a house maybe or something like that. We didn't know at the time. But going forth through the 10 weeks of this process, we have a lot more that could be added to this. I just think it would probably fill a page. So we had the main points of each one. And then going forth with my project, we had started by just downloading a couple programs just to get the gist of what they were, open my horizon to different programs such as SketchUp Pro. And SketchUp Pro is a Google-based drafting thing, or drafting website program that they use just with objects and holes to make buildings and such. And then AutoCAD was the original CAD program, computer animated drafting, that is still used today. It's highly still used, and SketchUp is becoming highly popular as well as the years go by. And then next, it was just getting to know DataCAD. Before we had a solid project down, she wanted me to just get the gist of what we were doing. And so to do that, we just started out making simple walls. And on the picture on the left, we started by just making a simple box that would show later to make it a lot better. This video on the right here is our very first little project we did by working with simple a roof, just a simple roof, door, quick sink, a cabinet, just to get to know the parts and how to download things into a program. And we use smart walls in this one, which are always used just for modeling, because they know how to put the openings in with the header without having to do the process of inputting it in yourself. And then getting started with our program, she told me to find a house that I really liked and that we were going to make our own a little bit in a way. So I found this project online, and we thought we would go forward with it. So at the very beginning, we started by finding the dimensions of this plan, because the plan did not have them, so we used a architect's scale, and we used what we already knew about the house to make the rest of the house dimensions, so that we knew the door was 3 feet long, so that we knew that using that as a scale, we could measure all the rest of the house. So that's how we got that down. And then we later ran into a few problems with the house, that the roof was unable to be built. It was mainly, we think, just built for looks and to draw people into the plan. So later we had to come up with a couple solutions for that. And as we were going and learning through the program, she thought by teaching me shortcuts that it would save a lot of time on what we did. And a lot of the ones we used a lot were layers to turn on and off different layers, such as furniture, so that we could work on the floor layer to make textures, or separate the floor to make different textures, such as the kitchen and the living room for carpet and hardwood. Another one was copy, which was just copy an object, and so you could move it around. And then move was another one, where we just, when we put an object down, we select an entity or a group. An entity is just basically a line, or a group is like such as like an entire door. And another one we used was rotate, just to rotate them, or weld, if there was 2 lines that needed to be welded together to make a perpendicular or such. And then getting into our project, this was our very beginning step, was to do the openings and the walls. So to do the walls and openings, it was you had to measure from side to side and center the points for the doors, and it took quite a bit of time. And then the second one on the right is we added in the floors, which we consisted of a whole bunch of different textures, which we'll see later in the program. And we entered in just 2D furnishings, such as the beds, the living room, the cabinets, the refrigerator. All this was just because this part of the program, we were just doing drafting. And then we moved on and we started working on the roof. As you see, the garage door is in the bottom left, how the one on the left is a lot longer, or it's just a little bit longer than the one on the right. Well, in the original plan, it was switched the other way, but to make our roof perfect and to how we liked it, we had to modify the house a little bit to make it our very own. And by doing that, I think it looks a lot better than what we could have come up with in that earlier setup. And then the one on the right, we have changed the 2D objects, such as the couches and the cabinets, to 3D objects, because later we would start to model them, not just drafting. And yeah, we have a porch and the car we added in there to share decorations. And then the final project was to come up with this was the final thing an architect would have with the dimensions, which you would take the dimensions from an endpoint of the wall, and you connect it with a midpoint of a window and a door, or a perpendicular wall from the inside, to come up with all the dimensions. And then once you have all the dimensions, you would find the bigger parts of the walls and just do those, so those are simpler. And this is what it would look like for a construction worker that was looking at plans to start building. But we added in the furniture and stuff that wouldn't usually be on a plan. We just thought we would add it in there for to show progress through. And on the side, we have the where it tells my name, kind of like the business thing, and it's vertical. You would think it would be horizontal, but when it's vertical, it's because when the architect rolls out the paper, it would, instead of having to open it to look at which one it was, it would have exactly the page and the name of exactly what you were looking at. And then right here you have the 2D view that we were working on, which was the drafting part of the project. And then on the right, you'll see that we started modeling it. We added textures and we added some textures and the 3D objects into this one. But when we put it into the 3D modeling view, there were a couple problems we ran into, such as the Z-height. So when modeling a project, it's not just on an XY axis anymore like the 2D view is. That's drafting. Modeling consists of an XYZ axis, so you have all 3 three of those components, and some problems we ran into were that the furniture were underneath the house because we didn't get the Z-height right, so we had to go in and fix those. But in the end, we had all the solutions for those problems. And then these are a couple of pictures from the inside of the house, and the one on the very left is some pictures of the bathroom and some bedrooms. And in the right one, you'll notice above the fireplace we have this painting right here, and it's a painting of a house. When we were all the way done with our project, we took a screenshot or a final result of the house, and we put it into a picture frame above the fireplace there for you. And then in the bottom one, we have showing different textures from the kitchen, from the hardwood, that transfers into the lit family room that turns into carpet. And then you can see on the porch, we have totally different materials as well as different types of wood. And notice while modeling, you actually can see straight through the windows. They're not all the way transparent. You can still see the blue. It tells you what the windows. And the next one we have right here, we have our two-car garage, and we have a kitchen. And you'll notice that there are, in all the pictures, that there are shadows, such as this one and in here. And when you get the perfect angle that you want to look into the house, you hit R, which is a shortcut for ray trace. So it'll show you a perspective view of a light on one side, and it shows the shadow on the other side. And then when we were modeling the houses on the very outside, before we added any textures in, we took a few pictures of, this is the very, on the one on the left, it's the very beginning one where you just see the simple garage doors. And you can see, notice these windows right here don't have the footers on them just yet, because we, while modeling, we worked with 2D walls, not 2D walls, but we worked with simple walls to, because it's better for drafting and modeling at the same time. And then the one on the right, you'll see that we have much more to it. We have added the handrails for the porch area. And in the project plan, they had a screened-in porch, which didn't make too much sense. So we decided to go off and just create our own little porch there for you. And then we have the garage doors, a lot better, and we fixed the Z-height on those too, because those were a little bit messed up. And then at the very end result, we had added textures to it, and many different textures, and we had to, not all the textures were in the DataCAD software. We had to go find them in an online thing, an online website that downloads them to SketchUp, which is one of the programs I had downloaded earlier in the project. And then when we did that, we could transfer them in and use them as part of my project. And then you'll notice that in the top picture, we added a background in for view, and you'll notice that the windows and the garage doors reflect the background, because it's just a little effect to it. And then in conclusion, when I started my project, I didn't think it would take much time to do this. I never really realized how much time it took being an architect, and I didn't realize that the hours spent in the late nights just doing simple walls or doors took numerous amount of hours to do. And in the end, though, I really still feel passionate for architecture, and I think it's an amazing field to go into. And then I also learned a lot more about the education that I did not know. I figured out that it took 4 years to get your bachelor's degree, and then another year on top of that to get your master's of architecture. And then after that, you take a 3-year paid internship. And then when you're finished with that, you have to take a course of 12 exams that last 4 days, and some of them can be up to like 13 hours a test. And then when you're done with that, you meet one-on-one with a member of the board in charge of architecture registration. And then after that, your final step is you get your stamp, and you can call yourself an architect after that. And then this right here, you'll see, is a flyby video of our final project that we had finished. And the first part is just a flyby. It turns it, it spins it. And then the second part, it takes off the roof and allows you to see inside, and it walks through all the different rooms inside. And thank you very much for coming to my presentation. Actually, before so this board right here is what an architect in in school would have, and when they finished it, they'd hang it up on, like, in the hallway, and the professor and other students would come by, grade it, critique it, and this is, we just thought we would give you guys a little taste of what this would look like. And these are the elevations of the house we built, and this is the floor plan and some more views of that. And I'd like to open it up for questions if anybody has questions.
About how much time do you feel do you spend on this particular plan?
Just making this house, we probably spent a little over 40 hours probably just working on this plan right here.
Would you consider this to be a starter home or your dream house?
I would consider this to be a dream house because building it, I really recognize about how beautiful this house is, and it's quite large. It's about 71 by 84 feet. So for a one-story house, this would probably be one of my dream houses. I love the layout of all the rooms. Yeah.
What would it cost to build that house?
I'm not quite sure how much it would cost.
So this is going to give you the basic idea of your house. Would it also be help you generate plans for contractors as well?
Yeah, knowing the program, you can build other things such as other plans that someone asks you to request, like a building or a skyscraper. I just decided to do a one-story house, but you can add many stories to it.
Because I was looking at, so you got a certain number of windows in here. Would it help you determine what size headers you're going to need for your windows and how all the framing's going to go together? If you have your finished floors, let's say you have a 3/4 inch hardwood floor in your living room, but you want to transition to a tile that's only a 1/4 inch thick, would it give you different specs to be able to do that? Keep everything flush?
Yes, it would, because when you're working with the Z height for the floor, it tells you how high up the walls would be as well, so you could figure out the headers and the footers for the windows and such.
Okay. I got a house for you to look at.
So what was the most difficult thing about this project for you?
I think the most difficult part was coming up with a 3D part to it, because I had to learn, the 2D part was not as hard as the 3D part, because you had 3 planes you were working with, the X, Y, and Z. So the Z kind of stumbled me on how to place an object on the wall, and but I really enjoyed it, and I've been struggling through that, made it so I understood it a lot more.
Do you feel like you're exposed to more software out there that is helpful to you as a potential architect?
I think I am. I think I have been, and I think it will help me in the end very, very much.
Are you looking